Hey everyone, today I'm excited to show you something really cool. We're going to build a real-time dashboard that tracks USDC activity across multiple chains with Notion's charts feature. So whether you're analyzing trends or just keeping an eye on on-chain activity, this setup could be a game changer for you. And the best part, of course, is that there's zero coding required. Before we jump in, let's quickly make sure you have everything you need. A paid Notion account, you'll need this for the charts feature. A paid Zapier account, we'll be using webhooks. And a free dispatch account. If you don't have one yet, you can easily sign up at espresso.io. Quick pro tip, I do recommend opening 3 separate browser windows, one each for Notion, Zapier, and Dispatch. Trust me, this will make the process much smoother. Alright, so first we want to create a new page. So go to that Notion tab, open up your Notion, and what you want to do is just click on the plus sign where it says add a page to create a new page. We can just give it a short little title that we can come back to and change later. So we can call it USDC monitor. I'm just going to make this full width just because I want to take up the entire page. So what we're going to do is actually create an inline database. And if you're a Notion user, you know that the shortcut to creating any blocks or adding any content is just the slash button on your keyboard. So you can scroll down, and if you don't see what you're looking for, you can also type it in. So we can type in database because that's what we want. We can do inline database. Now we're going to set up the essential columns. So where it says name, we can change that to contract name. But I'm going to fast forward through this section. But here's a list of the essential columns that we need so you can fill it in according to this. Alright, so right now we pretty much have everything that we need for Notion. We don't need to do anything more right now. Don't worry, it looks empty now, but we'll see it fill up with data soon. Now we're going to move on to step number 2, which is the dispatch configuration. So this will be the part where we're setting up our data streams in Dispatch. So head over to Dispatch and log in. Now we want to create what's called a patch. If you're new here, you can think of it as your personal blockchain listener. Now, under when this happens, you want to choose smart contract activity as your trigger, then select webhook as your action. We'll start with the base network, but don't worry, we're going to cover the others later, so we can select base as the network, and then for smart contract, we're just going to search USDC. And then we can select it. And Dispatch will automatically pull all of the events and functions for you. So for the events, here's where we tell Dispatch what to watch for. We can scroll through and see which ones we want to be notified for. Transfer, this is a big one. Mint, burn, and maybe approval. You can select more events like blacklisted and blacklisted changed if you want to, but for the sake of this demo, we're going to keep it simple. So let's say we have our event selected. Let's just scroll down, click continue. Webhook should already be pre-selected as our application here. So click continue. All right, so for this section, before moving forward or doing anything else in Dispatch, we're going to switch over to the Zapier tab. All right, so now that we're in Zapier, we're going to go ahead and click create and then create Zaps. Now for the trigger, we want to choose webhooks by Zapier. For the trigger event, we do want to select catch hook. This is how we'll receive data from Dispatch. Click continue. And here's the crucial part. You have to copy the webhook URL that Zapier gives you here. And what we're going to do is flip back to the Dispatch tab. We already know that webhook is pre-selected as our action. So now what we can do is paste in that webhook address. You can give it a name like Zapier webhook. And then we just want to paste in the webhook URL that Zapier gave us. Let's go ahead and paste that in, click save. Great, now click continue. And now we can click on send a test JSON payload. This basically sends a sample payload to Zapier. When we switch back to Zapier, where it says we're listening, you can click test trigger. And you should see the test data that came through. So if we click on that, we can see the sample payload. This means that Zapier was able to retrieve data from Dispatch. So now we can click on continue with selected record. And now we'll search for Notion. All right, here it is. Now we want to choose create a database item. So for the action event, let's say create database item. There we go. Now for this next part where it says account, you do have to connect your Notion account. So basically you have to authorize your Notion account so that Zapier can access it. Awesome. So I've authorized my Notion account as well as the page that we created the database on. Go ahead and click continue. And now for this section, we'll work on the mapping. Now we're going to choose the database that we created at the beginning of this tutorial. So that would be USDC monitor. And now all we have to configure is the mapping, which is the most important part of the entire tutorial. All right, great. So now we can click on continue. Then click test step. Okay, doesn't seem like we have any issues there. So if we go back to Notion, you should see that data there in the first row. So this means that everything is working as expected so far. So now for the next step, we're going to see the magic happen. I'll show you how to bring it all together. Now go back to your dispatch tab. Now this is where we had left off. So all you want to do is click continue. And now we want to name our patch something like USDC activity on base. Now all we have to do is hit turn patch on. So now that we know that that's active. And now we can switch over to our Zapier tab. And this is where we can publish the Zap. Perfect. So now we can watch our Notion database start populating with real USDC activity. Now for the fun part, visualizing the data. If you're a Notion user, you probably already know how to create charts, but just in case you don't, here's a short run through. You can type / and search for chart. And you can see the charting options here. Let's say you want to do a donut chart. And you want to show the different events. You can style it if you want to. I just usually leave it on auto. You can show the different data labels. There you go. So as you scroll down, you can see the different types of events that happen in a chart. Now, this is cool because you get to see these insights at a glance. So just for a pro tip, you can try different chart types to find what works best for your data. Line charts are usually great for volume over time. Pie charts work well for network distribution, etc. Now we're back in dispatch. And we can see how fast the events are firing. It's actually crazy. So I'm actually going to turn that off for now. But I wanted to show you guys a way that you can expand your monitoring. So if you wanted to monitor more networks, here's a really quick shortcut. All you have to do is go to your patches and overview. And go to that patch that we created for USDC activity on base. And we can go to the right side here and click on make a copy. So what this will allow you to do is copy the entire setup we had for base, go to trigger conditions, and under network, we can choose a different network. So say you want to monitor USDC activity on Arbitrum 1. Smart contract, search for USDC, dispatch will pull all the events and functions for you, and you can go through the entire process. This way it's a lot easier and a lot quicker. Okay, so I selected the same USDC events as I've selected for base. Now for the action type, we know the application is webhook, so we can click continue. And down here, make sure not to change the webhook or add a new webhook. We can just use the same one. Click continue, test action, cool. You can name this one USDC activity on Arbitrum. Turn that patch on, that should be successful. You should see activity coming in already. So we're going to shut that off for now. Pretty simple. Now, if you want to monitor activity across multiple chains, all you have to do is duplicate the patches. So repeat for each network that you want to track. Now, for my favorite part, let's create some beautiful visualizations to compare activity across chains. At this point, you already know how to create a chart. So basically, you create multiple charts and just filter them out by network. This step does take a little bit of time, but at the end, it's worth it. And there you have it. Now, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below some other tutorials that you'd like to see in the future.